Assalamualaikum and hi. In this very first episode of the series, Mastering Conditional Statements in Java, we're going to learn about the if statement, the else if statement, and also the else statement. Now, let's look into a brief definitions of what is a conditional statement. We say a conditional statement in programming is a construct that allows code to execute based on whether a certain condition or set of conditions is met. For example, assume that we're going to log in to a mobile banking applications. The conditions for us to log in is we need to have the correct username and password. Only if this set of conditions are met, then only the specific codes will be executed. In this case, for example, we just have the code system.out.println login successfully. Now I'm going to explain the usage of if, else if, and also else statements using the analogies of traffic light, where in this case, we have three different conditions. Now, assume that we're just going to look into one condition, where if the traffic light is red, then we are going to stop, or we need to stop. So if I'm going to translate this into Java codes, I will have something like this, where you can see here, I do if traffic light is equal to 1, where 1 here is red, then I will do a system.out.println stopped. Notice that I also have the curly bracket here. So I have an open brace and also a closed brace here to indicate what are the code that I'm going to execute if the condition here is true. So if I have only one conditions, I will use if statement only. Now, if I want to look into two conditions, we're not looking into three conditions yet, red, green, and or yellow, but I just want to identify whether the traffic light is red or not red, as you can see here. In this case, I'm going to use the if and else statement. So here, if traffic light is equal to 1, which means red, then I will do system.out.println red light. If it is not red light, okay, so else here, I will do system.out.println not red line. Okay, so notice here I didn't specify any conditions for green and yellow. So else here, my else here can include anything which is not red. So it can be green, it can be yellow, or it can be other colors. So here I will use if else if I am dealing with two conditions. Now let's look into a more complex example where we're dealing with these three different conditions. Remember, for the analogies of traffic light here, we're dealing with three different conditions where if it's red light, then we're going to stop. If it's green light, we are going to go. And if it is yellow light, then we need to get ready. We also need to counter another condition, which is what if the traffic lights trigger some other colors. So here, as you can see, I have the last conditions. Okay, now let's go through this one by one. So first, as usual, I initialize a variable traffic light with the data type integer. I assign the value 3 to that variable. So in this case, my traffic light, I know that is yellow. And then I move on to create my conditional statement using the if, else if, and also else. Remember, in the conditional statement, we always need to start with if and end with else. Okay, we can have as many else if as we like. So for example, now if you have 6 conditions, so your first conditions must be if, your last conditions must be else, and the rest of it will be else if. So in my case here, so if traffic light is equal to 1, so if my traffic light is red, I will stop. Else if my traffic light is 2, which is green, I will go. And I add another else if here will be if my traffic light is equal to 3, I need to get ready because that is yellow. And finally else. Else here indicates any conditions which do not fall under the first 3 conditions. Okay, so any colors of the traffic light which does not met with these red, green, or yellow, then I will print invalid. So the simple rules here is when you are dealing with one condition, we will need to use the if only. If you are dealing with 2 conditions, just like the one that we have seen earlier, whether the traffic light is red or not red, we will need to use if else. Okay, and finally, if we are dealing with more than 2 conditions, we will need to use if, else, if, and also else. Remember, we can have as many else if as we like within the if else. Okay, if we are dealing with more than 2 conditions. And remember also that the final else, this else here, is used for handling any cases not covered by the preceding conditions. If you still remember the example that we have seen earlier, we have red, green, and yellow. So the else statement at the very end caters for any other cases which are not red, green, and yellow. I hope through this video, you have a better understanding of about Java conditional statements, specifically using if, else if, and also else. Thank you very much.